Hello and welcome to round 5 of the FRS Dirt Rally Championship, this time being played out in the stunning scenery of New Zealand. This round marks the halfway point of the championship and Hercules 137 already with a commanding lead at the top of the standings after just 4 rounds. Behind him, Ettore has a clear lead over Fraser at this point of the season, while there's a close fight for 4th between Jams Truth, Timalele, Booth and Jabber. Here we go then to Hawke's Bay, New Zealand, and a real mix here of high-speed open sections through the fields combined with slow, twisty sections through the trees. As has so often been the case this season, Fraser was quickest out the blocks in stage 1, the German driver clocking the fastest time 2 seconds clear of everybody else to ensure his rally got off to the best possible start. So far this season, Fraser has seemed the most likely to overhaul Hercules in any given event, but is yet to get the better of the American. It was a rough start to the rally for Pretend Soda, who was the first victim of the small banks of earth at the side of the course. The Scottish driver picking up an early puncture and losing 1 minute and 43 seconds overall to the leaders. By his usual high standards, it was a very steady start from Hercules, clocking only the 3rd best time in stage 1, though admittedly only 2.6 seconds back from Fraser. The championship leader was looking for his 5th straight win here in FRS, and doing so would likely put one hand on the trophy already. A familiar field to the top 5 after stage 1, with Jabber just pipping Hercules into 2nd place, Cookie 4th and Booth 5th. We move away from the coast for stage 2 to the 4.6 mile Ellsthorpe sprint, the majority of this one being run through the fields, which meant it was quite high speed, and those banks of earth on the side of the course were a threat. And guess who was the first to find out? Oh, that's the same thing we did last time.
Into 6 left long tightens. 70.
What do you do less of that?
30. 2 right long tightens.
Right, it's just getting lazy now.
2 right long tightens.
Handling the stage much more competently was Ettore, who absolutely dominated stage 2, setting a time 5 seconds quicker than anybody else in the field. The same couldn't be said for Jabber, who made a big mistake and clocked only the 25th quickest time in stage 2, dropping the Finnish driver down to 18th place overall and leaving him with it all to do. Ettore quickest then from the American pair of Hercules and Booth. Timalele sneaking into the top 4, while Fraser only clocked the 5th best time here. That left the overall standings very close at the top, Hercules assuming the lead from Ettore by less than 1 second, Fraser back into 3rd place. It's back the way we came for stage 3, only this time under the cover of darkness. And despite being a reverse repeat of the previous stage, less drivers than you would like learned the lessons of stage 2. Only 4 or 5 drivers posting even remotely competitive times, one of whom was Jams Truth, who was able to leap from overall P8 to overall P4 with a good performance in stage 3. With Timalele, Cookie and Booth all setting times in the region of 30 seconds away from the quickest, the overall leaderboard saw quite a bit of a shake-up after stage 3. Second quickest was Fraser, although a full 6.1 seconds back from Hercules 137, who dominated stage 3 to an even greater margin than Ettore had dominated stage 2. The American beginning to stamp his authority on the Rally of New Zealand. So Hercules quickest by a considerable margin in stage 3, while Jabber started the recovery mission with the 5th quickest time here. An all too familiar field to the overall standings by the time we reach the first service point, Hercules now in the lead by 8.6 seconds from Ettore, with Fraser in 3rd place. Back to the coast for stage 4, but with no time for sandcastles because we were back amongst the trees for the Ocean Beach sprint. And with his car patched up and ready to go once again, Jabber was straight back on it, clocking the 2nd quickest time in stage 4, less than a second behind the outright winner of the stage, Fraser. The Finnish driver still had over a minute to make up on the leaders, which was a gargantuan task. Another driver patched up and heading in the right direction was Dan, who set the third quickest time in stage 4. The Skoda driver has had a real pendulum of a season, swinging wildly between exceptionally good pace and binning it into a rock. Hercules was another midfield driver who went well in stage 4. The American setting the 7th quickest time, which helped him improve his standing amongst the midfield runners, though still 1 minute and 30 seconds off the lead of the rally. A noticeable absentee from the top 5 as Rick C only finished P6 in stage 4, a mistake from the championship leader undoing all of that good work in the first 3 stages. And that meant the gap between the front 2 closed to just a 1/10 and a half, absolutely nothing in it as we went on to stage 5. So stage 5 then, the reverse of stage 1, which means plenty more high-speed sections ready to catch the drivers out. This stage marking the halfway point in the rally and of course the halfway point in the season as well. Rick C went quickest of all in stage 5 with an overwhelming display, very much righting the wrongs of stage 4 and going clear of Fraser by 7 seconds. That allowed the championship leader to re-establish his buffer at the head of the field. False 12 was one of those to be caught out, carrying slightly too much speed into a sharp right, and the reward, a puncture.
Left of a crest. Into 3 right long, 80. We have punctured the left rear.
Booth was running in the top 5 as he so often does and finished P5 in stage 5. The American gaining time back on Ettore, who's occupying the last podium place at this point, but with a 32-second gap to bridge, it seemed likely that Booth was going to have to rely on the power stage to pick up some additional championship points. Rixie and Fraser, the top 2 once again, with Jabber's slow climb back from that mistake in stage 2 continuing. Dan was 4th and Booth 5th. In the overall standings, looking a little bit like a 2-horse race, with Ettore sort of in no man's land in 3rd, Cookie and Booth in a close fight over 4th place. Stage 6 was the most heavily forested one so far, with lots of tight, twisty sections through the trees, although this stage didn't produce a whole lot in the way of drama, with all but 4 drivers finishing within 1 minute of the quickest time set by Rick C. Fraser finished 3rd, losing another 3.1 seconds to his American rival, but keeping within striking distance should Rick make a mistake at any point. The important thing from Fraser's perspective is that this was a poor stage for Ettore, who finished down in 16th, losing around 30 seconds. That result going a long way towards shoring up Fraser's 2nd place as a minimum. Cookie and Booth's intense fight for P4 continued, with the Polish driver's stage 6 time less than a 1/10 of a second quicker than Booth's. That retained the defending champion's advantage over the American by around 5 seconds, with 3 stages to go after this one. Rick C only marginally quicker than Jabber, but the important gap was that back to Fraser at 3.1 seconds. Jamstruth had a good stage coming home in P4. That meant that the Peugeot driver extended his lead to 10.2 seconds as we went into the 2nd service area. Ettore losing 30 seconds suddenly gave Cookie and Booth a chance at that podium place. Stage 7 was the reverse of stage 6, and with the cars repaired you would think we'd all have it covered, but a lot of the drivers towards the back actually lost more time with fixed cars than they'd done with damaged cars. On board with false 12 again, as he makes a very similar error to that he made in stage 5, and the reward was, you guessed it, a puncture.
Into 5 left, 30, right rear puncture, 4 left long tightens, into 6 right, and 6 left, into 2 right tightens.
Ettore was back on the pace again, sensing the threat of losing that podium place to Cookie or Booth. Another chance to ride on board with the British driver.
Opens long, don't cut, tightens 2, into cut maybe 4 right.
Send it was gonna
30,
tighten.
3 left, into 3 right, opens 30, open hairpin right, into 3 left, into 5 right, into 4 left, very long, opens 30.
In stage 7 there were plenty of drivers chunked together on very similar times, possibly helped of course by the chance to repair the cars at the service area. Right in the middle of them all was Penachiro, who finished 15th in stage 7 to remain 15th in the overall rally. And it looked like staying that way for the Portuguese driver, who had about 30 seconds to make up to the drivers ahead, but a minute back to the drivers behind. With the exception of the recovering Jabber, the top 4 were as they were really, with Rixie fastest from Fraser, Ettore and then Kuki. That result meaning, of course, that very little changed in the top 5, with Rixie still quickest. Jam's Truth was still in play in 6th place, about 8 seconds back from Booth. Stage 8 was another one dense on the old foliage, with 2 additional concerns. 1, it was night time, and 2, there was a wet surface to contend with. And contend with it is pretty much the opposite of what Pretend Soda did. Fresh from his heartbreak at the end of the United States rally, the Volkswagen driver managed to produce another unfortunately calamitous moment, sliding wide into a tree and completely taking out his headlamps, leaving him fumbling around entirely in the dark. The replay here highlighting how a minor mistake on a night stage gets amplified so much more in terms of lost time. Pretend Soda losing over 3 minutes on this stage alone, as he had to crawl to the finish in his Volkswagen.
Into 2 right, opens of a crest. Into 2 right, opens of a crest. And 4 left long, tightens toe.
There was yet more serene progress for Rixie, who finished 2nd in this one, but importantly was quicker than Fraser. The gap at the front opening up ever wider, and it's looking extremely likely that the championship leader will take a 5th straight win. Oh, it's wet. Of course it is. First time I've noticed. Meanwhile, I was surviving, just trying to get to the end of the rally at this point, but had one of those unfortunate moments with the pace notes again.
Into 4 left long, caution tightens bad. Into 4 right long, opens of a crest, 30.
Ah, there's a ditch! No! That's what he said. I didn't hear what he said.
Into 5 right. Something doesn't feel right at the rear. Is it a puncture?
I thought he said. I thought he said caution mud. Quickest of all in stage 8 was Jabber, who was producing a remarkable recovery to come all the way from 18th in stage 2 to challenge the top 5. Overall P7 at the end of stage 8, Jabber just needed to find about 8 or 9 seconds over Booth and Jam's Truth to claim P5. So Jabber quickest from the overall leader Rixie, Ettore once again 3rd, while Dan managed to sneak into the top 5 once again. Going into the final stage, Rixie had a commanding lead over Fraser, now standing at 24.3 seconds. The fight for 3rd still going in Ettore's favour. So the final stage, Ocean Beach, is the longest one of all at 7.1 miles. All the challenges of the fast section do the fields and the slow section do the trees, mixed together in one. And for even more spice, this is of course the power stage, meaning that 25 additional championship points were available to the winner of stage 9, 15 points for 2nd place, and an extra 10 points for 3rd. Fraser, of course, needing something of a miracle coming into stage 9, but it wasn't his finest work this one. Failing to break into the top 3 for the additional power stage points, but doing enough to finish 2nd overall. Ettore was giving it absolutely everything as always and did enough to secure P3 in the overall standings and P3 in the power stage. Riding on board here with the Citroën as Ettore tackled the wet surface that made the power stage even more challenging.
Into 5 left, into 3 right long, 30, 3 right long, opens of a crest into 1 left. To caution, 2 right, tightens 1. Into 5 left, opens of a crest, into don't cut.
But who else could it be but our own Rixie, who was fastest again in stage 9 to win the power stage, claim the additional championship points and confirm himself as the winner of the Rally of New Zealand, making it 5 on the spin for the American. Jabber's excellent recovery was rewarded with additional points for second place, while Ettore finished third. That left the final standings looking like this. Rixie the winner by 35 seconds in the end from Fraser. Ettore wrapped up P3 and Jabber managed to sneak all the way up into P4 right at the death. Booth finished 5th with Cookie 6th, Jamstruth 7th, and then Dan falls 12th and Dante rounding out the top 10. In the midfield, Timalele will be a very disappointed 11th, Black and Gold was 12th, I was 13th, and Penachero and Gali rounded out the top 15. Hercules, Lightbot, Van on Base, Popsicle, and Brad's Pit filling positions 16 to 20. The 10 Soda, Instinct, Moon Dingo, and AWD Turbo Guy all finished, though some way off the pace, leaving only 4 retirements in Madster, Hugh Sam, Air Jordan, and Voki. Championship time, and how does a 210-point lead sound if you're Rixie 137 after only 5 rounds out of 9? It's going to take both a hell of an effort and a large slice of good fortune to stop the American from winning the championship this season. Ettore's power stage points helped offset the deficit to Fraser, while it's really close for 4th place between Jabber, Booth, Jamstruth, and Timalele. The FRS social channels can be found in the usual places for all of your Formula 1, Assetto Corsa, Dirt Rally, whatever content you like, while my own Twitch channel is available there for you as well. That wraps up another recap video with the next round to come in Spain. We will see you there.